Keith Haring, Dondi, a caveman thousands of years ago, Daryl Cornbread McCrae, Lady Pink, Basquiat, an ancient Roman writing a protest poem on a wall during a full moon night. Terrible Tea Kid, Banksy, you and me, we are here, we exist. Hello everybody, my name is Aime. Fame is the name of the game. Graffiti art is a manifesto of existence. It shapes your sense of self. It turns spaces into places. However, graffiti has a questionable reputation. It is widely regarded as a form of ignorance and vandalism that destroys cityscapes. An aerosol art that stomps around and leaves dirty environmental footprints. My quest not only explores the vibrant world of graffiti, it attempts to contribute something by advocating the positive sides of graffiti. But more importantly, by trying to find mechanisms to reduce this art form's environmental footprint. This is why I called my quest Drawing the Outlines of Green Graffiti. My quest is an ongoing process. Firstly, a process during which I not only started to learn how to express myself by means of writing graffiti. I slowly but consciously understood the impact of creativity for my personal life. Secondly, my quest is a process, full of trials and errors in finding solutions to make graffiti more environmentally friendly. For some students, it might have been easier to find the quest topic. However, for others it wasn't. Some students have passions, while others are still on their way on finding these very own passions. Just like for me. Of course, I have interests and aspects in life that make me happy and make me, me. But the hard part was trying to find a topic that I really felt connected to. But one thing I kept in mind while working on Quest is that Quest is for me and the positive impact I want to make. And since I love art and love hip-hop culture, graffiti was obviously something I wanted to dive into. Graffiti is an expression of identity and an outlet for creativity. In some cases, it is a therapy that has a positive social impact on youth communities. It lets people make a statement. Many famous artists, from Van Gogh to Frida Kahlo, have used their artworks to make declarations about their beliefs. So why shouldn't people use graffiti for the same reasons? A graffiti crew from Berlin, Germany, called One Up, created the first underwater graffiti in the waters of Nusa Penida, using corals creating awareness of the drastic state of our oceans. The message went around the world. But let me start by giving you a short explanation of how graffiti works. First, you need to give yourself an alter ego, a name. I chose Quest 23 for this project. I then started looking at graffiti online and in the streets of Bali, stumbling across two famous artists such as Kidney or Thend. I then drew designs at home together with my dad, who did graffiti in the 90s. And once I tried different styles and the more and more I practiced, I slowly developed my own personal signature. It was now time to start the actual spray painting. So I went to a graffiti shop called All Caps that Ibu Avanthia recommended to me and bought my first few spray cans. But to my disappointment, there was no sustainable spray paint for sale. But let me explain this at a later stage of my presentation. There are legal halls of fame in Bali on which I started my first spraying attempts. The first time, I just practiced how to use a spray can, using fat caps for thicker lines, skinny caps for thinner lines, and markers for outlines. But most graffiti pieces consist of fill-ins, shadows on blocks, inlines, fadings, and outlines. But handling a spray can requires a lot of practice, and this I had to learn. So we started off by just writing the letter Q. The second time, I took a more complex version with me and started a new attempt. It was very hard at first, but after a while, I got the hang of it. Handling a spray can is all about the speed and the pressure. The more speed and the less pressure, the thinner the lines, and vice versa. Now, This is all a lot of fun, but what many graffiti artists do not recognize is the massive damaging effect of these spray cans. Spray cans contain aerosols and emit so-called volatile organic compounds, VOCs, some of which act as greenhouse gases. They also have high levels of toxicity that are very harmful to our health. However, the biggest negative environmental effect is the production of these cans. Aluminum cans are very energy intensive to produce and have a higher carbon footprint responsible for 11 tons of CO2 emissions per ton of cans, whilst plastic bottles only 2.2 tons. As you can see, spray cans might not contribute to our ocean waste, but they too come with their own sets of problems. As yet, graffiti has not transitioned to an environmentally friendly art form, but here are a few attempts, such as, first of all, water-based spray, which refrain from using VOCs. Second of all, spray paints with ecological propellants. However, these all have a few things in common, such as they can be much too expensive to be alternatives for young graffiti artists. The quality has also not yet reached the typical graffiti shine. Plus, they're not available in Bali. And none of these address the fact that the production of aluminum cans is the true environmental killer. It was my goal to find something simple, something that did not involve cutting-edge technology having to be invented by a 14-year-old broke teenage girl. For example, green graffiti. Most commonly, you mix moss with fat-contained yogurts and water and apply this onto a surface. As you can see, the results can be quite beautiful. However, it does not capture the real sense of urban art that typical graffiti does. But I came across a great alternative: reverse graffiti. It's done by making a stencil and placing this onto a wall and cleaning the bits you cut out of the stencil. But first, I had to build the stencil. So I went to the iHub and copied the design of my file onto the iHub laptop and sent it to the laser machine. Here is my outcome. But that wasn't the hard part yet, though. I imagined it to be quite easy to produce this reverse graffiti. However, it was quite hard to experiment with the right utensils, such as spoons, brushes, and sandpaper, and of course finding the right walls to do this on. But here are some of my results. I truly believe that reverse graffiti could be a new way for my generation to express themselves with a form of street art that does not harm our environment. However, traditional graffiti will continue to be a strong movement, also here in Bali, which means there is still no solution to recycling spray cans. So I interviewed a famous Bali-based graffiti artist named Paul, who explained that recycling spray cans, as yet, is no issue here in Bali. I also interviewed the graffiti shop All Caps, and they told me they gave their empty spray cans to their neighbor. So I then went to interview their neighbor, who told me she brought the spray cans to a landfill, but did not know what happened to them after. I held some interviews with recycling facilities, none of which recycled spray cans. This was the moment I thought my quest was not going to work out, since it was my goal to set up a recycling station in the graffiti shop All Caps, so customers could then return their spray cans. I almost gave up until I interviewed Charlotte, the founder of a trash collecting startup named No Limba. They too did not recycle spray cans, but she and Maitri Fisher gave me the idea to contact Gria Lahu. Their organization did in fact recycle spray cans. So the next step was to persuade All Caps to set up my recycling station in their shop. But of course, I had to build this recycling station too. So I used an old barrel, my friend DJ's recycled hay net, and made sure to add the contact number of Gria Lahu onto the recycling bin, so they are informed whenever to pick up the spray cans. Now all I had to do was make it happen. By the way, this is me in my recycling bin standing in the graffiti shop All Caps together with Hendra. All in all, this was an amazing experience and journey for me. There were many failures while trying to find solutions to make graffiti more environmentally friendly. Many things I had planned which turned out to be impossible. But in the end, some things worked out thanks to many who pushed me to do the best of my abilities. Without them, I wouldn't have opened up to new things, such as being organized and doing things of my own, for example, interviews. But I want to thank all CAPs and Ibu Vanthia who told me about them, and Ibu Angie and Ibu Laura for giving me the possibilities to skip class to work on my reverse graffitis, and Ibu Angie and Ibu Kat for letting me present one of my graffiti pieces at the Lotus Festival, and my friends Alma, DJ, Marley, and Eob for helping me with my reverse graffitis all around school, and my speech mentors Ibu Emily and my dad for taking their time to help me improve. But most importantly, my mom and my dad for encouraging me to get my work done. I couldn't have done this without all of you. But let me conclude by saying that I'm realistic enough to understand that all of this will probably have little effect on the graffiti movement in Bali. However, I created Bali's first recycling station for spray cans, with which I hope has sparked a tiny impulse to creating awareness on how to recycle spray cans. Or if I gave just one single kid my age the idea to express themselves without harming our environment, and letting their name be heard and read in a world of 8 billion others, then all of this was totally worth it.